Okay, so here are the fine line applicator bottles. These are one of my favorite tools, and I just love using these for a lot of different reasons. And I'm just going to today, in this first part, just show you the tool and tell you why I think that they're a great product. They come in two different sizes, and they come in a fine tip and a standard tip. The fine tip is 20 gauge, the standard tip is 18, and for most of my purposes I use the standard tip, and in my workshops and classes, if you're purchasing an applicator for that, be sure to get the standard tip. Look for the yellow rather than the blue. So I'm going to talk about that first. The applicator bottles are a little bit different from other applicator bottles because any applicator bottle you can put paint into. The problem with most applicator bottles is you can't leave the paint in them because they are not airtight. But Fine Line has changed all that with their applicator bottles with this unique rod and cap system. What you have here is a dispensing tube, and this is a larger tube than on the Fine Line. And then you have this rod that is sized to perfectly go back inside of that tube. And that renders this applicator bottle virtually airtight once that is put back on. And I have tried so many different applicator bottles and different tips, and they all work fine, but what happens is the paint dries up in them, or else I have to take the paint out of them, and that's just not a really fun thing for me to do. What is nice about these is I've left my paint in these for at least 4 years. I put fluid acrylic and gessos in these, and 4 years later they are still the consistency of when I put them in there, and that is because of that unique rod and cap system. This top part consists of 3 parts. One mistake that my students often will make is they will remove this second part as well. This is a protection for this more fragile needle assembly here, and you can buy bottles that will look like this, but this is a fault in those, in that this can be broken very easily, and Fine Line has solved that problem by putting that protective cap over that. So when you do remove these to use them, you want to just take off the very top portion. Now to fill them, you want to take off the whole cap system, and you can put your paint into this reservoir. This reservoir can hold just about anything, but when I'm using the standard tip, I like to put either fluid acrylics or a more fluid gesso, either black or white in these. They are the perfect consistency to dispense correctly out of this rod or out of this tube system here. And a thinner paint will flow out too much, and a thicker paint will not flow out at all. So you don't want to put like your tube acrylics in these, but any of the fluid acrylics can go in here. And like I said, they will stay for quite a long time. Once you get those in there, and I will be showing how to use these when they are filled with product in the next video, always be sure to make sure that that cap is on tight, because that is what's keeping your paint from drying out. Now, when I fill these with the fluid acrylic or with the gesso, I like to store these upside down. And the reason I do that is because then the paint that is in there is now sealing this area where the cap system is. And so the air that is in the bottle is going to be up here. So if there would be any problem with drying out, it's not going to affect this paint that's up here near the cap. Also, if you have them sitting like this, your paint that's in there is going to be down here, and when you get ready to use it, you're going to have to shake it and try to get the paint down there. So if you store them upside down, they will be ready to go at a moment's notice. You can also store them laying on their side, and this is how I leave them when I'm actually working with them. I don't actually turn them back upside down, but I'll leave them laying on their side, and then when I'm done with them, I go ahead and return them to an upside down position. So that is your standard. Now the Fine Line, the fine tip one, this one can accommodate your more watery paints. And I I want to show you here. I hope you can see that. But it's when you dilute either your acrylic or your watercolor down to where it is the consistency of water. And you can use diluted acrylic, you can use diluted watercolor, you can use any of your inks in these. And when I do put the more fluid paint in this fine tip, I do store them upright. They are airtight and they shouldn't leak, but I don't really like to chance it, and I will store them upright because we don't have the problem of getting the paint down there to use it, because as you can see, the minute you put it upside down, it's there because it's so fluid. And because of the fine tip on these, it will dispense this more fluid paint more gradually. If you were to put that very fluid paint in your standard tip, it would just kind of pour out. And in your fine tip, you can control more the amount of paint that comes out. So either one of these are a great product, but like I said, for most of my techniques, I am using the standard tip. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to use those once they're filled with paint, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.